Unusual things began to happen with law. I began to see local municipalities, and no longer were police departments the enforcers of the law of municipalities, but military police driving very unusual looking vehicles that I now know to be called Humvees. I'm going to put this on the screen and talk to you a little bit about this vehicle. Can you see that good? Should I come up a hair, or are you okay? We're okay. I'm going to do like Stan does here. Let's see. Hey, look at that. Oh, I have to hold it. Okay. These, this is classy. I like this. These vehicles I saw looked a lot like this vehicle, except that they weren't green. And by the way, this was brought up on an internet advertisement for me, because I began to tell people what I saw. And the first time I saw one of these, by the way, was on CNN in 1991 during the Gulf War. I don't know, you might have seen them sooner than that, but that was the first time I saw it. By the way, I was watching the report on the Gulf War because I was comparing what television was telling me in comparison to what the Lord had shown me in prayer. I know some things about Saddam Hussein. I know some things about some people that even Prophecy Club hasn't heard yet. And I'll share them with you tonight. This vehicle that I saw was black. They were on just about every corner of every main thoroughfare. The only difference is, like the one I saw in the airport today, I think it was today. Yeah, it was today. Man, I've really been going. Keep me in prayer. I just want to get home tomorrow. The one I saw in the airport today was amazing because it was almost the exact replica. And by the way, it was $94,000. This one was $72,000. These are the yuppie cars in California, by the way. I guess they make these, I heard, here in Indiana somewhere. Isn't it amazing? You Indianans are corrupting Californians. Never ceases to amaze me how we all corrupt each other. I really like this pointer. I'm having a great time with this thing. Stan told me to be myself, so I'm about to loosen up here in about 5 minutes and really have fun. These vehicles that I saw were black, and the top here was hard, but this part right here, see how this comes down? This was not a hard back end here. This was a canvas, or like a Jeep. You ever see the Jeeps, you know, without the hard tops? It was canvas here, and there was a man standing in the back. They were wearing very unusual outfits, by the way. They were wearing black uniforms and blue ball caps or blue helmets. The man that was standing in the back here was wearing a blue helmet. There was a big radio antenna or some sort of a device here and a flag on the other side. And this guy was standing up here, and it looked like he had some big gun standing here. Stan asked me if I thought it was a machine gun, and I said, yeah, I think it is, but I don't know because I've never actually shot a machine gun or seen one. I did have an AK-47 at one time. That was a lot of fun to shoot crows with, I'll tell you. But it was not a machine gun. It was a automatic version, so you could only pull the trigger. I don't know if that's what it was. It looked to be one, but again, I would be embellishing if I said, yeah, I'm sure it was a machine gun. I don't know. All I know is these guys were everywhere. Another thing I was able to see is I was able to look inside of here, and on the inside of there was a what I know now to be a laptop type of computer sitting on the dash with a computer screen that seemed to look much like the airplane I rode in today, a Canada Air regional jet that had all new digital GPS that just completely draws the picture for them so they follow without gauges. You could look into this computer and it would give them all sorts of information. You know, when I got my last California driver's license, I almost didn't want to take it. In California, we have holograms on the seal of the state and a strip of magnetic something on the back, and then another thing with a whole bunch of information, they say. I've been trying to get mine to thrash out, you know. I put it in eelskin wallets and put tin foil around it, and I just want to mess with them. I figure we have a little bit of time to mess with them, we might as well, right? Look, folks, they already know all of us. As soon as you join Prophecy Club, they know you. It's a dead giveaway, let me tell you. And so these guys were able to get in here and use these computers, these onboard computers, to have information. At the same time I saw this, I saw street light standards, the kind like we have in California that really You guys are still kind of old-fashioned out here. You have those wires that go across intersections with old lights hanging on them. We have these huge standards that hang out. On the top of them, I began to see cameras, little white, oval-looking, hot dog kind of looking cameras. And in the dream, it was revealed to me that these cameras knew the whereabouts of everybody's vehicles. And, you know, they tell us, because people have been asking in California, hey, why do you have these cameras on the freeways? You've told us that they're for traffic control. But there's no street lights on the freeways, folks. You know, you can drive from where I live clear down to San Diego on a freeway and never have a light. Why do they need those? And you think about it for a minute. These guys knew our whereabouts. They were parked on nearly every main thoroughfare. They knew your whereabouts, and what was unusual is they were fairly peaceful. I'm going to take this down. We'll get to some other things in just a minute here. These military police, or whatever they were, by the way, I don't know about you, but I did some checking again. In 1980, 1981, there were no blue helmets on any military in the earth. And there were no blue ball caps. While I was in Baltimore, see, I hadn't seen the blue ball caps yet. I'd only seen the blue helmets. In Baltimore, I missed my shuttle, and just what a mess that day was. I got lost. I mean, but it was the Lord totally, because He had me get on the wrong shuttle to get me back to where I needed to be to watch this television report of Sierra Leone. And when it came on the air, I heard the Lord say, look at the television. I don't like television. And so what happened was, these guys were fighting this skirmish in Sierra Leone, and they were wearing blue, baby blue, powder blue ball caps. And the Lord said, I told you I'd give you a sign in every place you'd go to show you. I don't know what the blue ball caps meant, by the way, when I saw them, or the blue helmets, but I clearly know now who will be the policeman. I'm wide aware of who will be in charge. Now, this system of these police was actually quite peaceful. They weren't rude. They weren't mean to people. They weren't obnoxious. I didn't see any looters or anybody getting shot or anything like that. They seemed to be peaceful, kind of parked at every corner. One thing that was happening is that you could not cross state lines at this time without papers. You had to have current papers to cross state lines. That was very, very strange to me. You know, matter of fact, if it hadn't have probably been for Prophecy Club, I would have probably never really believed that part of my dream. I don't think I would have ever believed that our country would become a place where you can't cross border to border without papers, approved papers. But I saw it, and it was astounding to me. This new leader began to be on television again, and he was not resisted in the implementation of any of his policies. Not one. No one stood up to challenge him. No one in America started a revolution. No one. There was no resistance whatsoever. Not on a grassroots level, not on a national level, no one. And you know what's amazing to me? In the 20 years from this dream, I'm totally convinced now that that's exactly what's going to happen. Because you can look at most of the Church of the Lord Jesus Christ, and they're totally asleep right now. If you start telling them end-time things like this, they label you as a doomsday fanatical nutcase. You know, what are you one of those guys that are going to tell us that the end's going to come upon us and we're not going to get snatched out of here or get out of here without a little bit of problem. You know, just read your Bible. That's right. God didn't take Noah out of the earth. He put an ark around him. That's right. God delivered Lot from Sodom but still destroyed the place. He didn't take him into the clouds. Jesus said so many times himself, even in the high priestly prayer, he said that, hey, listen, Father, I pray that they might be one as we're one. But Father, I pray that you take them not out of the world, but that you keep them from the evil one. You know, He's the one who said, he who endures to the end shall be saved. You know, and I'm sorry, but a whole lot of Christians right now think that we can just get out of here without it being a little tough. Could you imagine, honestly, if Jesus would come back to take His church right now? I think He'd be pretty disappointed. I know He's not always pleased with me. Just recently, a couple years ago, He told me the last 2.5 years of my ministry burned up as wood, hay, and stubble before Him. That didn't please me whatsoever because I thought I was really pleasing God and I was under deception. Listen, folks, I used to be afraid to preach stuff like this completely. Oh, I'd give little tidbits here and there everywhere I went, but I was functioning in the fear of man. I was very afraid. Just like some of you are very afraid. Must be a sign, huh? Right when you know you need to change, thunder comes. Maybe He's happy with me now. Behold, my son. Listen to him. Actually, I must decrease that He might increase. I didn't mean it that way. We don't want lightning to come down through this building. Very unusual things in the dream transpired. The changes took place almost instantly and with complete ease. Complete ease. There was peaceful martial law, as I said. Military police were everywhere, and they knew everyone's whereabouts. I found out how they began to know this. See, I didn't understand this at first, and it was revealed to me. I asked myself questions as I was processing this dream. How could this happen so quickly? See, I'm a historian. I love to read about history, especially American history. You know, our forefathers fought those type of things. But right now, where are our forefathers? Where are men and women that are willing to stand up and say, hey, wait a minute here. This is not the direction we're choosing to go. Think about it. I mean, we all ought to pinch each other tonight. I thought it was we, the people. What about all of us? You know, when are we going to rise up and say, enough of this? You know, see, I'm not the only one who's walking in the fear of man. When are you going to rise up and tell your church that we're sick and tired of the truth not being preached? We want the truth preached. And if you don't, men of God, don't preach the truth, we'll pray that God will bring some who will. Well, that ought to get you excited. It did in every other meeting I said it in, but that's okay. You're trying to behave for cameras or what? You afraid they're going to pan and show your face and now they got you? The government's got you? They had you a long time ago, folks. I'll just tell you that right now. Yeah, thanks, brothers. There must be some ex-Catholics down there. I knew my friends would start speaking out sooner or later. A lot of questions I asked myself. Where were the ideals of our founding fathers? How could this happen in America? You know, I've heard of a lot of other nations having coup attempts and governments overthrown, but it was usually through war. There was not even a bullet fired. Now, as time progressed in the dream, I was given the ability to realize by being in homes that television sets not only broadcast and transmitted programming, but they now had the capacity to actually send signals about you in your living room. See, I never really thought that could happen until an electronic engineer told me, Ken, anything that's electronic, that's designed, can do the reverse of its design. Anything. Your automobile can drive forward, it can go backwards. If you can receive a signal, you can, thank you, Lord, you can send a signal. Now listen, I was able to see that television sets were actually watching people in their homes, monitoring their movements, monitoring their conversations. They showed me in the dream, or I was shown in the dream, that the television didn't even have to be on, it just needed to be plugged in. Guess what I found out? That televisions made after 1992 can in fact watch you. How many have 1992 and beyond televisions? How many think maybe you ought to throw a brick at it? Maybe you ought to go back to a yard sale and find one of those 80s models that you still have to turn the knob. Might be a little less convenient than surfing, but might be a little safer for you, huh? You say, how do you know this stuff? Well, because I've ran into people that showed me the demonstrations. One man showed me how your telephone could be bugged in your house with a $17 Radio Shack device. Called my house, rang the number, and says, hey, listen up. Hang up the phone, and now they can listen to everything you're saying. Do you know that your telephone, good old Ma Bell made sure that your little telephone, your Mickey Mouse phone, you know, all your little phones have in them one of the most sensitive microphones available? Why? So you can talk to Grandma better on the West Coast? I mean, think about it for a minute. Why do telephones need such sensitive devices? And why have they so rapidly went to the new type of cables that carry all the signals? Can't think of what you call it right now. Somebody help me. fiber optics. Do you know that one fiber optic cable can carry over 1 million messages? Why? Why do they do things like that? Think for a minute. So that more people can be kept watch after. Not so that telecommunications gets better for us. It's a game, folks. It's a big scheme. It's a big plan going on before us. Television continually, almost daily, explained to us that as people, if we would align ourselves with this new order, we would be saved from all of life's troubles. This is what this man said nearly every time he came on. The new order was said to have all the answers to problems and the leadership necessary to bring the change, causing the world to finally become the envisioned globe of peace. This is what we heard over and over. Folks, this was 1980 when I had this dream. It sounds like right now, doesn't it? Every day the paper is pumping in your mind and programs are pumping in your mind global peace, global unity. Everything that's advertisements about what? The internet and let's make the world global. Let's make it a small globe. You know, all of these issues are constantly being shown to us. And at this point in the dream, my work with this older man began to really step up. This is the one part of the dream that actually gave me hope. I began to work very extensively with this man, helping him. And what began to happen was, at this point in time, many so-called Christians, I put in my paperwork, by the way, when I got this dream, when I finished it up, I wrote out 7 pages on a legal pad, much like this one, front and back. I would tell you, I could show you that tonight, but someone stole my desk that was the Secretary of the Interior's that was given to me out of my garage, along with all my high school annuals, my yearbooks, my Letterman coat, and all my things that I had experienced as the Lord during a tough situation. And I've never been able to get any of it back, not even my annuals, which is kind of still bugs me. So if you know anybody who knows where my high school annuals are, I had a couple of love letters in there that made me feel important.